Hello everyone, as I mentioned a few videos ago, instead of doing an actual normal review process of the TX15 from RadioMaster, I thought we'd do a stick cam and just kind of give my thoughts. Quick overview on this. I'm flying the Ikon25 as a 2.5-inch prop quad from Avion RC. Avion RC is one of those companies that I like their products. I haven't been turned off or turned down by one of their products in any way. They build them how I would build them, provided what they're building, as well as the comments that I get from other people who have purchased them. They've always been positive from the purchase process all the way through support. This one, actually, I had 2 failed stick cam attempts because I was blowing out props. So right now, I'm actually not running the props it's tuned for. I'm running the HQ 2.5 by 3.5 by 3 props, whereas it was tuned for the 2.5 by 2.5. So I've got a much higher pitch prop on here, so it's really demanding a lot of juice to spin those props, and it's handling it fairly well, but I do think it does throw off the tune just a touch. But if you're interested in a company that I oftentimes recommend, Avion RC, and I might even have a coupon code. If I forget to put it down in the video description, just go back to any of the Avion RC videos on the channel. If I've got a coupon code, it should be there as well. So good company, good product, just like RadioMaster. RadioMaster been dominating the radio market for a while now. There's a few other players, but I think we would all kind of concede that most people who've been around a while have been using a RadioMaster radio for quite a while. Now, will it make you a better pilot to have a new radio? Not really. You know, it might have a feature that's compelling for you. Like in this particular case, this one has a nice touchscreen, and it's actually quite responsive. It's something that I kind of thought was cool, but do you need it? Does it make your experience better? Maybe. It just depends on you. Of course, they have a max version, which has all sorts of CNC metal, and it has the AG02 all CNC metal gimbals. I think that if I was going to go the max route, which I don't know why I didn't choose to go the max route for this review purpose, but I thought, you know, the AG01 minis that are in the Zorro are really nice, and the AG01s I've used are really nice. That can make you a little bit better, a tiny bit better, just because you can actually feel the precision. But that's only going to make you better if you've already developed a fair bit of skills. If you're still struggling to you know, generally fly around and not crash, you're probably not going to notice those things. And that's kind of the same for most of these features, unless it has a feature that you've been looking for out of a radio, or you're new to FPV. You know, one radio from the next, if it helps you fly until you get to a point where you kind of have a real good feel and understanding of how you want to fly, will a radio make a difference? Maybe, but it's probably going to be mostly in form factor. You know, how does it fit your hands? The distance from the gimbal from the edge, or the distance when you're trying to get to the furthest extents of the sticks, those things are going to matter, and that's going to depend upon your, you know, your finger length, the dexterity, the size of your hands. You know, me myself, I tend to gravitate towards smaller radios. I've been using the Zorro for years. Just to go off topic a little bit, I actually switched over to the GX12 for a time, and I still am to a degree. But I found, and this kind of explains why I say it may make you better, but it doesn't guarantee anything of having a new radio. I had been flying this for, I think it was 2, maybe 3 months, but I noticed when I was flying a whoop inside that requires extra precision of me, I was crashing so much when I used this radio. So then on a whim, I thought maybe it was, you know, the stick ends or the stick heights, and I was doing measurements, but I just decided, okay, let's go back to the Zorro. Am I not flying very well right now? And when I picked up the Zorro, I could fly like I wanted to fly without all the crashing. I can still use this radio, and I really like the GX12. It has some features I like. One of the big features I like about this radio is the huge battery life that it has over the RadioMaster. As you can tell from the RadioMaster, I've got a goggle battery I got to keep strapped to the bottom because the internal battery life is just so short. It has small, the round cylinder batteries. I can't remember what size. I know it's not 18650. I think it's a step down from that. So will a radio make you better? Will a new radio make you better? Not always. It just depends on how it fits your hand and your finger length. That's the main thing that's going to make you better. The CNC gimbals are nice. You can feel the extra precision, and I suspect that it actually improves your flight the tiniest degree. But as far as the TX15 that we've got up here, you know, it's It's always hard to say. If you can get your hands on one and actually put it in your hands, that is going to be best for you to decide whether this fits. And even better if you can fly, or at the very least use it for a time in a simulator. Yes, I hear you. The speaker, I think, is a little bit improved over my other radios too. It sounds a little bit more normal rather than tinty or... Transmitter battery. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to turn this off. But it's got the switches that you'd want. The switches don't bang, and like if you have them down and you bring your fingers up, like that's one of the things I've noticed on radios is sometimes if this distance is too small, that if you have your arm or disarm switch on one of these sides and then you bring your fingers all the way forward, you can hit them. In this case, if I get real extreme, I do feel I can hit that switch all the way up into its top position, but that's not how I fly. I kind of fly more like this, not so much like that. So I don't think that would be a problem. And thus, you know, if you hold like this, if you got a claw grip sort on there, maybe. We've got a momentary switch up here, and we've got a two-way switch up here, or a two-position switch up here. These are all three-position switches. Then we have our pots and have all these different buttons and stuff that you would normally find on radios. Yes, it works well. Will it make you a better pilot? Only, in my opinion, if it fits your hands better. It's got the gimbals on the front, so you can adjust the... Maybe you don't want to have the full throw. I think that's more popular with racers, so you have smaller movements. You can adjust the tension, I believe, as well through the front, rather than having to get through the back, I think. I didn't actually adjust the spring tension on these, but I think that's the case with these. These are Hall center gimbals, which... You know, we're kind of the gold standard for years, and now we've kind of gone into these CNC all aluminum gimbals as kind of the premium upgrade. You know, it's got an antenna up here, turns, folds, got a strap, got a little finger hooks down here. I've got a really big battery in here. Nope, stock batteries. I had the RadioMaster, I think it's the 6500 2S battery. I had that in there for a time. But, you know, it's a solid radio, just like all the others. Is it something you have to have? Not if you already have one you're happy with. Will it make you better? It might, but only because it just fits your hands and fingers a little bit better. So I'd mentioned that was my third attempt at a stick cam. I kept blowing props. So I thought I would just include this. It's more about the quad itself. Got it stuck probably about 45 feet up in a tree.
That did not go well.
I was able to wiggle it out eventually using turtle and regular throttle mode to kind of twist and turn my way out of there, and it fell all the way to the ground. Didn't break anything. The other one banged off the cement, ended up in a window well, and I found a frog. And that's something that I find with these T-style props. You know, 2 screws on a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. They tend to blow out. And I don't know if they tend to blow out because I'm just abusing them over time, or if the prop ages, the plastic ages, or if I'm just screwing them down too tight. I think I screw them down too tight because I don't want them to fly off. But they do tend to fly apart. I've got one somewhere. I intentionally saved it. What happened to it? Like this. Hopefully you can see that. See how it's just blown apart right down here at the bottom? Kind of refocus, but I'll pull it apart a little bit there. See how it just blew apart? I find that happens with these. So it's kind of a quick overview of the radio. You know, not a lot more to say about it. Matter of fact, I keep hoping. One of the things I want to see is a Zorro 2. How long has this thing been out? When are we going to see the second iteration of this thing? The GX12 was a little bit close to that because it is slightly angled inwards like a joystick, a gamepad. And it's got a lot of nice features, and I do still use it when I'm doing outside flying. But just wanted to have a little fun, do the stick cam, instead of doing the full stock typical review that, you know, you might come to expect. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.